else, I believe, has a copy of the plan.
Yeah,
So I'd like you to schedule an evening to do the review, that way I can let the owners know and
Right.
they can attend.
Right.
and then, so this is similar to Heartland's where we just give the.
Right, you're gonna write a letter to the zoning board.
Right,
with-
because they're gonna ask for a special exception for the septic or something?
I believe it's just the septic. I haven't had a chance to fully, I'm gonna look at the driveway, but it looks like, from that, the driveway, I think, if you look at there's a, graph of it.
Oh, the cross section or?
Yeah, there's a driveway profile
Mhm.
up here.
Yeah, they're filling it so that it will be 5%.
Right, but we gotta look, I have to look at the actual grade of it as it is now to make sure that, look for, if it's over 20%, then,
Oh, okay.
that'll have to be part of their application.
It's pretty steep coming off of the road, but I was thinking that where they were going in was the stone wall, the break in the stone wall, the old entrance.
Is that not the case?
Evidently, it's not the case, so
There was one
it
spot where
wasn't
they
marked,
had
so how would you know?
200 feet of sight distance.
And there's a whisker across the road and then a stake kind of down in there, so.
I don't know what that state.
Well, there was some flagging there yesterday or the day
Yeah,
before.
but not, because Nat and I.
I thought it was right at the,
No, he
that-
says no.
No, not where the
Okay.
opening is, there's no, but that's not where the driveway is.
If you want flagging or something put up, let me know and I will.
That would be helpful.
Okay,
Yeah, I would look for a plea, if other people on the board could look at it. Nat and I went yesterday, and spent some time, but it's hard to visualize, it's hard to visualize it without really seeing it, I guess is what I'm saying. You have to kind of, because we figured out where the, we think we know where the septic is gonna go. But it took a little while to figure that out, and you have to really kind of walk on there to see.
why don't we ask them to flag out where the septic's gonna be and also ask them where the driveway is?
Yeah, we should.
And that way,
I totally thought it was
We don't
where the
have to
break in
guess.
the stone wall was, cause that's been flagged and there's a whisker right across the road from that too, so I figured it was like, somehow marking the center line, but
yeah, that's what I thought as well.
are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
See the print, just. on the garage door.
So when should we have them come in? I assume we'll certainly need some more,
Are we meeting again this month?
well, we scheduled it.
next week is another meeting, this is an additional meeting that you,
So do they need,
it's not a hearing, so there's no.
yeah, so why don't they just come in next week?
We could do that,
Merry Christmas.
we could do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'd be happy to have this passed then.
Okay,
So the 14th?
Yeah.
It's
Next week.
and I'll set it up at 7 o'clock so that they can come in and then the board can finish other business.
right, after we do that.
But
So we're,
it would be good if people could look, if they can stick at, other people on the board can look at it, because it's
Right.
hard, it is hard, without seeing it, it's hard to envision, to really figure it out from that map.
so just, you've seen it. and-
Nat and I went yesterday and spent a bunch of time.
So they don't show the stone wall on this map at all,
No,
so,
they do so something over 20% right here, but I don't know why they didn't. What is your measure, what is your distance that you measure for the 20%?
The 20% is 100 feet, a 20% or 20-foot difference in elevation over 100 feet. And typically what I do, it doesn't give a good description of how to do that measurement, so I look at the center of a development and go out 50 feet in either side, up and down the slope, and use that as the,
Because the slope right here is literally like this, you could hardly walk you can hardly walk up it. I mean, you have to hold on to trees to walk up it. Right here, down,
Yeah,
it's like a, well, it's not quite a cliff, but it's close.
So we probably should leave the discussions for
Yeah.
next week.
Well,
Yeah.
well, if we're gonna go up there, it's nice to get oriented, and then they don't really show the limits of clearing. So we don't, I mean, like, how much of that is gonna get cleared for their construction and the septic?
Yeah, that'd be a question to ask them, but
See, there's a road that runs here, an old logging road, I guess, and I'm
Which
assuming.
isn't shown.
Well, no, but it goes like this, and we were thinking that the leach field was gonna go where that road is.
so this is
We were
all
thinking-
wooded?
There's a.
Yeah, it's wooded.
It's got kind of a saddle, and it kinda goes like that and then like that, so they're like two little fields
Yeah,
that can fall off the prow of the slope.
yeah.
Well, I don't know whether you all have heard about the solar amendment we've been working on.
Can I,
We should probably get
before,
to it.
before you leave this subject, Elizabeth Kilmarks mapped all of this.
Yeah.
Did the conservation overlays, and she rated all of this as 20%.
Okay.
And if it's a steep slope, there can be no house in it.
this, the plan, they had it's a Hug Hill design, went out and found an area that they, as a, professional engineer,
Yeah,
found an area they say is out of the 20%. So I don't know where this is boots on the ground with,
Sure.
a surveyor.
no, that's fair comment. But it's a very, very tough site.
It is, absolutely.
And violates a lot of the purposes of the zoning ordinance. And the planning board is in a position in giving comments to the zoning board that could include, don't do it.
All right, well, we'll take that under advisement.
Thank you.
All right, so Rich Mengy,
Uh-oh.
yeah, you were going to look at a definition of group net metering from another town.
Yeah, I couldn't really find what I was looking for, other than, the PUC, when you submit a PUC application, that's when you put down the applicant puts down their subscribers.
Yeah,
And so I guess if we are wanting to put priority or precedence on Lyme residents getting the benefit of these, it almost seems like these large systems have to be group net metered. And I don't know whether we can or not, but it seems like we should perhaps put some percentage, whether it's 60%, 70%, 80%.
the issue was that we got feedback from the lawyer, and the feedback was not really helpful, or entirely helpful. So the idea was to ask her again.
Yeah,
So, I mean, we can just do it with whatever we have, but I think we have to get some clarification, because she said, I'm not sure the second, which was the group net metering, is feasible. I'm not a subject matter expert by any means, but my understanding is that any larger array will be connected to the grid. I don't think there's any way to direct the energy only to Lyme residents and businesses. But if the language was, something like directly or accredited to, I don't know. I mean, what she's saying is that she doesn't know, I'm not sure. But does she still get, does she charge the same when she's not sure?
Yes, she does.
Yes, she does.
so I did talk to somebody, a woman at Clean Energy New Hampshire.
Yeah,
And she happens to be a select board person down in Lee, which is right next to UNA, next to Durham. And she thought it was a reasonable thing that we're trying to do, but she couldn't come up with any examples that would allow us to do what we're trying to do. But, you know, in her particular instance, the town of Lee actually let Durham build a solar facility that was only benefiting Durham. And now they're going, well, geez, we'd like to have a site for our residents, and they're limited with their options in terms of whether they can develop anything, so.
So why are they limited?
because they gave it to the other town.
They gave a very desirable site, they're renting a very desirable site to, either
Okay,
UNH or.
so there was a nice place and they gave it away.
Yeah, they gave it away, and now, you know, several years later, the town of Lee's residents are going, well, geez, we'd like to have a group metering
I
project.
bet. So,
John,
Yeah.
I don't know, do we need a I have a definition here of group net metering. Do we need that?
well, I don't know that we need it so much, but this goes back to that meeting where, well, let's skip the definition and put this directly to the question thus. We weren't happy with her answer, because what I wrote down afterwards is that we had come up, well, what if we said that group net metering would be energy that's given directly or credited to, you know, fill in the blank, the residents and businesses of Lyme. She was saying any large order will be connected to the grid. I don't think there's a way to direct the energy only to Lyme residents. But if you have a group net metering system where you could have anybody get credited.
Because the electricity doesn't go,
Well,
maybe,
doesn't-
maybe in her mind, she's saying that the electricity actually goes to the Lyme residents.
Well, she's saying it's connected to the grid, and that's a given. But that doesn't mean just because it's connected to the grid that it can't be
Benefit.
credited to a limited class of people,
Right,
so.
right.
I think it may pay to re-ask the question, but provide more information saying that, you know, the idea is that you have a group net metered site, and that the Lyme residents and businesses would be given the opportunity to purchase the credits for that green power over outside.
Yeah.
You know,
that's-
Well, I think, yeah, I don't know exactly how this would work, but we asked the question, and it was the most popular answer. I mean, the most popular yes. So, if it's gonna require, if it's possible and it's gonna require a certain percentage of people to be involved, how would, you couldn't get the, I don't know how it would work. You couldn't get the approval, unless you had a certain percentage that was committed to it.
Yeah, you wouldn't build it.
You wouldn't build it unless you had that, and I don't know how that would. Yeah,
And the solar developers will find the group net metered subscribers. The zoning ordinance can certainly say group net metered, or large arrays have to be group net metered to Lyme residents or businesses. End of subject, or discussion. The solar developer, in the course of developing the project, will find the subscribers. Just as Kearsarge
Right.
was ready to group net meter the Bailey field, the Bailey electricity, to users in southern New Hampshire.
So we'd need a definition of group net metering. All right, so we should re-ask the question,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and we need a definition, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way David stated it was pretty good,
Yeah,
but, right, what you said was pretty good, I think.
what did you say?
Good question.
Which David are you
You,
talking?
you.
Both of us said good things.
I guess that you should re-ask it, saying that, you know, using group net metering and giving preference to Lyme residents and businesses.
Buying in.
Well, I don't think we can say give preference, because that's not what our question was.
Or give, yeah, however you want
Have
to
a
word,
certain
but
percentage.
say, okay, that a certain percentage of the credits have to be,
Have to go to Lyme residents.
well, it's the credits, or we're talking about the power allocation has to be,
well, I don't think you have any way of
However you,
sending the power to, you know, it goes into the grid, it doesn't,
oh yeah, but I mean, in terms of the group net metered system, you've got, you know, 20 users or 200 users, and they're all signed up, they're on the PUC app that, that the developer has to provide to the PUC and to the electric company. And that's it. I mean, I don't know how people come on and go off, you know, I mean, if you sell your house and the next person comes in, what, are they locked in or not, I don't know.
You can simply make it a condition of the approval, that that the electricity generated by the large solar array must be group net metered within Lyme. End of discussion. They'll figure it out.
Yeah. Or a percentage if we want to do it that way, either all or a percentage of.
I don't know I don't remember what the answer to the questionnaire was.
it was, well, the question was something to the effect of do you want, you have that?
I have it right here. Should we limit construction of multi-acre solar arrays to those projects serving primarily Lyme residents and businesses? And 63% said yes.
That was very, very popular. So the question is, you know, we have to write that, but we also, it's a good question, what if people will go off of it, right?
Yeah,
Inevitably.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
John?
yeah,
I'd like to put out a contrary opinion, you've
Please.
never heard me do this before.
no, I just.
I think
first time.
this is a pretty good amendment. It encourages solar development in town. It has a reasonable set of guidelines. It's an easy set of guidelines for small arrays. People can pretty much just do it without a lot of folderol. For the medium and large arrays, there is a reasonable set of guidelines. I think attempting to add in a term about group net metering, attempting to say this can only be, or primarily, or whatever, devoted to people in Lyme, I think that's gonna make them potentially unviable.
It's gonna make it difficult.
Yes, and if that's our intent,
To
then.
make it difficult?
To make it difficult, then by all means, we should go hammer and tongs and try to find a way to define what group net metering is and what the criteria are and what happens if somebody moves away and they fall below the 50% threshold. Do we revoke their permit? I mean, there's not a lot of time I think we've got a really good ordinance, and if in our first public hearing, we get a lot of strong feedback from people that, no, it's really only gotta go to Lyme. I don't know what we do, but I also think that putting in a whole lot of new language, which we've not drafted, is gonna give us shaky language that won't stand up.
Well,
So,
it's very, I mean, believe me, I'd like to be done with this.
so I guess, to finish, my thought would be, strike the group net metering. I have a couple, some minor tweaks on the language with the intent not to change any of it. And we can be done with it, and we can go to a public hearing.
Well,
So that's
hold
my.
on,
Yeah.
hold on, dag nabbit.
All right.
Yeah, no,
It's appealing, the question that, I mean, it'd be nice to just ignore it because we wanna be done with it, but this was asked, and it was, almost 2/3 of the town wanted it, which was the most popular question. So how do we say to the town, well, we went through this process to have a questionnaire, and your most popular question is one we decided to ignore because we didn't want to address it.
I think the way to do that is to say, there is a sentiment, it would be wonderful if everybody in Lyme bought into this, but we couldn't come up with a legally binding way in the time we had allocated to us to make it so that only Lyme people could benefit from it.
How does everybody feel about that?
I know.
I'm willing to postpone the definitive decision on it. I mean, I think there are a few other things we need to work on, and if we can consider Rich's proposal later. I mean, if we could get it, it'd be nice, if we could get something together, it'd be nice, but I tend to think that I would like to move this forward.
Yeah, but, well, I guess I think it's hard to ignore the questionnaire. I mean, it's a little, I think we have to address it somehow.
I don't know that the questionnaire asked the right question.
Well,
It's,
Yeah.
I mean, in all of these
Yeah.
questions.
we spent
did,
a
John.
year on
And-
this.
And I had said I was not thrilled with that question. If we say to people, if there's a requirement that the lion's share or all of it go to Lyme people, and that it imposes these requirements on a solar development, and that causes people not to do it, are you still in favor?
Yeah, well, and people can vote it down at town meeting too. If they don't like it, they can just
I
vote
mean,
it down at town
that's
meeting.
certainly their prerogative too,
Right,
but
right.
to say, we already used the full page of explanation on that survey. We didn't want it to go to 2 pages, because it's just too much. We're using our best judgment to say, this will be a good thing for Lyme, it will encourage solar development, and that's what we heard from the town.
All right, well,
The
I mean,
town-
we're going around in circles and
Yeah.
we're saying the same thing, but I have trouble just, we spent all year coming up with this questionnaire. We get definitive feedback and we say, well, never mind.
Okay.
So, all right,
So-
why don't we just move forward, as Rich said, and this can be revisited, but we don't have much time.
Well, I'd just like to offer an opinion. I don't think we should be regulating something based on whether it's group net metered or not. I think we've got our small, medium, and large categories, and we shouldn't split hairs about how the energy is being used.
All right, well, I mean.
That's just another opinion.
But
which is-
I mean, as I recall, that this was a question that you pushed for.
No, I didn't.
I thought it was
I
you.
pushed for something that shouldn't be there, that I didn't think it should be there, because I think it's too complicated, and I don't think we
Oh, okay.
can follow up with the regulatory. If we're gonna try to regulate it, we're not gonna keep track of it.
So you agree with Rick?
No, I'm not saying I agree with Rich, I'm just saying, take out group net metering out of the options, and we just regulate based on small, medium, and large, and
That's-
not
that's
how the
pretty much what
power
you're
is
saying.
used.
That would be fine with me.
Yeah. All right, well, I
I mean,
mean,
that's just another option, which,
But that's still ignoring the
yeah, I
questionnaire.
mean,
it does ignore the questionnaire, because we
I mean,
decided.
even though the question is
But for
wrong.
the question, my point is, I don't think we should be regulating it based on who, how the power gets split up, and who exactly, is using it. It's just, because group net metering is a subset of small, medium, and or large, right? And so.
I think it's really, it really reflects on the question that we asked in terms of, are we wanting to beautify or uglify our community for the sake of the world or for the sake of just our residents?
and they said,
And
our
they said our
residents.
residents, and so, I mean, by saying, well, small, medium, and large, well, then we're just allowing industrial size
Right,
solar for the benefit of everybody,
right, which is not what the town
yeah.
preferred.
Yeah.
Now, I guess the other question I have is I still don't understand where any siting of solar could be north of the village.
Oh, north of the village?
South of the village.
Or, excuse me, south of the
Oh.
village.
Well, we have David's maps.
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
There's quite a bit of area in there, which is, I like it because it's not on like road frontage, it's interior, which is too bad for everything that lives in between, like Washburn Hill and Route 10. But it gets the solar up away from the road, and, I'm not sure, you can hear Route 10 when you're up on Washburn Hill walking anyway, but I'm not really sure how much wildlife there is, but and I don't know who owns that, either.
so we think we would be happy to put it in some of those sloped wooded areas.
There, there's a lot of houses, both sides on all the road frontage,
Yeah.
and it's not like it's being put up on East Street, it's in an area that is screened from the roadway, and there's a lot of human activity that, between Route 10 and Washburn Hill, it just isn't that deep.
Yeah.
But I was surprised and kinda happy to see it, that it would go there, but that's just,
Because I was looking at those figures again, and have you, David, are you able to put together something that excludes all of the conservation districts so we can actually see what's available?
Yes, I can do that.
Because, I mean, I
I
think
thought
that,
you did that.
I may have.
Yeah, I think you did.
as a single figure,
Oh, no.
You did the individual
Yeah.
conservation.
because
Soils.
you did a kind of piecemeal, but there's nothing that shows,
Yeah, I put it all in separate. So it's, like this where it's just the ag soils,
Mhm.
but I can,
because I think one of the questions was how far away from Route 10, are
Right.
we?
Yeah, how
Are we gonna go all the
define it?
way up on the upper side of Washburn Hill Road with these, or
I
are we
think
gonna
so.
go between Washburn Hill Road and Route 10, or?
I would think we'd go on the east side of Washburn Hill Road, I mean, cause that's.
Yeah, that's where the most of it is.
On the-
You have Ernst Kling's place,
Yeah,
here, and then here is above, like where the Whittemores were, there. And then you have these big this is what I was thinking was reasonable, and then this is just a wooded piece, I'm not sure who owns that behind that brown house.
Yeah,
I
and
was
there's,
thinking
you know,
about that
where
one.
Dan O'Hara did some logging a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's.
Well, if people are thinking that those are areas, then yeah, there is potential.
Yeah, cause if, I mean, if we say route, south on Route 10, I'm sort of thinking that is a pretty wide area, you know, it goes all.
So where does it end?
Town line?
No, I mean east and west.
So I have up on
Yeah.
the screen, this is just a basic view, you know, so Route 10 is coming down
Mhm.
right through this area. This is the Bailey's property, this is Crossroads,
Yeah.
And that's Washburn Hill.
Rich, this is
Yeah.
your property
Right.
right here.
Yeah.
So who?
This would be Sandy Kelsey's
Yeah.
property up in here.
Dave, do you know any properties that are more or less 5 acres that you could point to, just for size reference?
Just off the top of your head.
I don't, not off the top of my head.
Okay.
5 acres is 466 by 466.
Thank you.
I happened to think about that a while ago.
Did you? Okay.
Did you measure any frontages there to get a sense of it, or?
I did.
So,
Uh-huh.
so
Yeah, I
do,
was thinking-
do we have a definition to the east and the west?
Yeah, wouldn't we go all the way over into here?
And what's that? Where are we saying?
No, we don't go all the way to East Street. There's hardly any potential, I mean, if you look at the map that David did, here's Washburn Hill, and you have like the, you know, behind Ernst Kling's, that going down through the Murphys there, and then you have this one little bit here.
So what?
So you're saying it's unnecessary to go much further?
I don't know, I wouldn't go into that, and that's also, I mean, some people have long driveways, but for the most part, there are not a whole lot of homes back up in there, and, you know, that's kind of wild.
Right, so you're saying not go beyond Washburn Hill, on the east side of Washburn Hill?
So-
Correct, yeah,
This little,
yeah.
that's just a little over 5 acres.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Almost 6 acres.
Okay, so we're saying on
To that corner lot there.
Yeah,
on
We're
the,
saying to Washburn Hill Road.
to Washburn Hill, is that what we're saying?
It's, I don't know, well, take a look at this,
What is the
You
yellow
pass this-
on that?
yellow is 5 acre sites, and the green is the 20 acre sites.
Oh, is this from Mark?
I don't know, I just copied it because I thought it was useful.
Okay.
Solar potential, Eversource, 3-phase lines,
That was me, yes.
is that you?
Oh,
Okay,
Yep.
so if you wanna look at it, you
Can
can just
you-
pass it around.
can,
dig that up,
put that up
put it
there?
up there.
So the yellow is
I
5
am
Five
sure.
acres,
acre, yeah,
and the green is 20.
yeah.
That would be last year's stuff.
And then what's all in here where it's not yellow, that's just,
It knows, and it doesn't have the solar potential. The brown,
yeah.
Yeah.
This is, okay.
I guess that's based on aspect, is that what you looked
Yeah.
at? And that doesn't include easement, overlay
Yep.
districts.
So if we went to Washburn Hill to the east, where would we go to the west?
Well, just, it would be between Route 10 and Washburn Hill Road.
Oh, so nothing on the other side of,
That's sort of what we're saying, nothing on the east side of Washburn Hill Road.
So no, would you go down toward the river?
I think you'd like to, but I don't know if there's any parcels there. Cause there's Crossroads,
Yep, they've got easements.
and there's Brett next to me. And then north of Shoestrap.
Is that the right one?
Yes,
Looks like it.
yep,
Yeah.
same thing, yep.
So green are 20 acre and
Right.
yellow is 5
Yes.
Yep.
acre, okay.
What's?
And those are kind of aggregates of 5 acre sites, so they're,
Okay.
Mhm.
basically, if there are multiple 5 acre sites, they're all kind of clumped together.
Right. Right.
So we're saying
Well,
that,
that's interesting.
that's not the overlay districts on that?
No,
No.
So we really don't know from this what,
it's based on aspects, so where, if you were a solar company like prospecting, where would you look for, you know, terrain that would be favorable for putting up solar panels?
right?
So, you know, that's like solar panel, you know, beneficial land.
But these are outside of the conservation district?
Yes, these are outside of the.
Oh, they are,
Yeah,
okay.
and if you look,
Yeah, that's what I
like
was
right here,
talking
this is
about.
Bailey's, this little area is Bailey's Field.
Uh-huh.
And so it's, those are the areas outside of,
Oh, outside the egg soils,
yep, so
Mhm.
I had taken the,
oh, great.
all the
Well, that's
conservation
much-
districts
yeah,
out.
that's much more helpful. Yeah.
So the visually
So those are
unobtrusive
actual,
question.
So,
Possibilities.
yeah, so what are, how are we defining the borders? North and south, we know. We're going all the way to Washburn, and,
Do you wanna define a corridor based off of Route 10 saying?
yeah,
It has to be X number of feet from the highway and not more than X number of feet.
yeah, I think that would be
Yeah.
good.
and then, yeah, so go to Washburn Hill Road and then extend it, it would be extended down to here, to Hanover.
Well, Rich, isn't that your land? It's got an easement on it?
Yeah, I mean, that's not gonna get developed.
Yeah, so is there any, do we need to go south of Washburn?
Do you mean like Preston Road?
Yeah, do we need to go?
Preston issue? I mean, I don't see why we don't define it from
North to south?
north down to the border, and if we wanna put a width on it.
Yeah.
And we have other criteria for,
Okay.
for limiting where it is, and I don't know. I guess this ordinance does say from the town common basically south
Right, to the border.
to the Hanover border.
All right, so we're gonna define it, how are we gonna, I mean, we keep kicking things down the road, we said, well, we're gonna have a corridor, so we need to
Well, I mean,
define the corridor.
Why define the corridor? Why not just say from the town common to the Hanover border?
Because we need east and west.
Well, could you bound it by Washburn and Preston?
You could,
It's not gonna give you a western boundary though.
yeah, Preston isn't western,
Why not make it 1,000 feet on either side of Route 10?
be fine with me.
Would 1,000 feet go all the way to Washburn Hill?
No, but 1,000 feet is what the array needs to be. It has to be close, has to be within 1,000 feet of the three-phase power.
Well,
That's
yeah,
not,
that's what Beth said, but I don't know whether every company would, I mean, I don't think that's set, you know, 100%. I think, that's what they like, but I think they could probably go further than that.
right, they can clearly go as far as they want. It's an economic decision
Yeah.
to say, and 1,000 is a nice number, but if they were 1,050 or 1,100 feet,
They still might do it.
they would, if it's a desirable site, they'd suck it up and do it, I imagine.
Well, they're gonna be looking for access from Route 10 and run it up to the property, they're not gonna run it up Washburn Hill Road and,
So you're
right?
looking 15 to 1,900 feet to Washburn, because Washburn kind of angles
Yep.
to the east.
Right.
So you're looking at 15 to 1,900 feet.
Or just twice what David
And
suggested.
the 1,000 feet, that's what they're willing to run the lines. It doesn't mean that you run 1,000 feet to the lines and then you have your solar arrays
Mhm.
beyond that. It's
Right.
what they're looking at to run the actual
Right,
power back down to.
So I guess I'm gonna put forth the motion that we just say north and, north and south limits as far as three-phase power goes. I mean, not say three-phase power, but just say any place south of the Lyme Common. And then the other factors will govern. I'm gonna put that forth as a motion.
The other
And-
fact.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not seconding that,
I'm not
so.
seconding
All right,
it.
all right, very good, thank you, I tried.
No, you did it, you
Yep.
did it.
Yeah, yeah, so no, I think we need to delimit it, it's
Right.
just like wide open like
Why
that.
don't we just say
Is it-
1,900 feet? And if it's beyond Washburn Hill Road, it doesn't matter, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, cause if you can't do it there, so what? And I'd go all the way to the Hanover line, even though there may not be any land in there that's feasible, that would just be,
Mhm.
you know, it makes it simple.
Does that mean that all parts of this, including the access driveway, need to be within that 1,900 feet? Or that, you know, so you can't have anything providing access to the solar array? I mean, is that what we're saying?
Yes,
So does
Is the
the entire
driveway-
parcel
Excuse
have
me?
to be, does the entire parcel have to be within that
No.
1,900 feet?
No, I don't think
No,
so.
just that the array needs to be in there, and the array and any supporting structures. I mean, like, I could envision that, you know, you might want a driveway to come in off of Washburn, but the power line would come off of Route 10, and maybe stuff would be not on Washburn Hill Road, because we don't really wanna see it there.
so are you saying,
I'm just wondering, when we say it's gotta be in there, does that mean the driveway needs to be entirely within the district?
Why
The
not?
driveway that serves that?
Driveway to this,
That
array.
serves the array?
Why
Yes,
not?
It's access, okay, okay.
And does the array have to be within the 1,900 feet? I mean, if there
Yes.
were,
Absolutely.
Yes.
if there
Yes.
were something on, you know, on the east side of Washburn Hill Road there, that was a really attractive plot, I don't know what's there, but would we be saying, no, you can't put it on the east side of
Get it
Washburn Hill
rezoned.
Road?
Yes,
yes, we'd be saying no.
we'd be saying yes.
yeah, if we.
All right. I'm just asking for
Yeah.
clarity.
It's-
Although in
clarity is
some, in
good.
some cases, that 1,900 feet will be on the east side,
Yeah.
based on
Right, if
David's
you look at,
measurements, so,
So-
yeah, so we
Yeah.
just use the 1,900 feet
Right,
as
so we're
a,
doing 1,900 on both sides.
So here's the case, if you look at this line that I'm moving right here,
Yep.
Mhm.
that's about 1,900 feet from,
Mhm.
so it does cross.
Right.
Right.
Which is, it's fine, it just makes it easier to define it.
Now, if the 1,900 feet encompasses all of the road, why not make the road the boundary?
I think that the issue then becomes, how do you deal with the portion down here below, you know, where the road ends?
Oh, quite right.
Well, that's,
1,900 feet or Washburn Hill Road, whichever.
That is commercial zone. at that
Whichever is
point,
less.
isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, so we could say Washburn, and 1,900 feet, whichever is less, essentially.
That's,
No, whichever is more.
yeah.
Because if Washburn Hill got to more than 1,900 feet.
Right, right, right. Right, so,
Didn't we just say that 1,900 feet encompasses all of Washburn Hill Road?
Yes, so
It's
it's,
the
Well-
widest point here.
No, well, if we,
Probably not
let's,
if you could keep going
Yeah, let's look.
Not up there.
north.
look
Yeah.
here. Yeah, now you're at 2,700 feet.
Oh,
Right,
Oh, okay.
27,
well, we don't want that.
that's pretty far.
But
does that include Market Street too?
Yes, that would include
Yeah, well, then we have to say,
portions of Market Street.
we have to say Market and Washburn Hill.
But aren't you defining it by the Lyme Common District, which includes Market Street? So it's south
Oh,
of,
Yeah, if you
south
say
of the
south
Lyme
of
Common
Common
District.
District.
Oh, okay, south of the district, I didn't hear that, I just thought it was
Right,
south
so it
of.
wouldn't include one.
Okay, good. I mean, I just think that's part of the village, and we shouldn't be doing solar
Yeah, I mean-
arrays there, we need to have housing there,
So,
okay?
how's our definition going?
So is the Bailey farm gonna get turned into a solar array farm?
It could.
No, it's excluded because it's ag soil. It's in the-
Well-
It's in the ag soil protection
Okay, I
district.
hope so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
hope is the thing with feathers.
Yeah,
I mean,
Right.
you
It's ours, though.
define what you want, not what you hope.
yeah. Well, I don't want it on ag soils myself, so, you know, the upper part of the Bailey property, though, is wooded and, it's, you know, relatively steep, but I guess that wouldn't have shown up on David's map, so.
So I kinda have a feeling we're not where we wanna be with, defining this area.
Well,
Well,
there is a bunch of Bailey farm in there.
Well, it's right at the, that's the northern, the Bailey Farm
Yeah,
field is gonna
yeah.
be right in here.
I think
Yep.
just 1,900 feet all the way down to Hanover border, and that's it, on the west
Mhm.
side. Or the east side, sorry, of Route 10.
Yep, let's just go with that, and
Let's
see
just
what
go
people
with it.
say.
Alright, so 1,900 on the east side, and what's the west side? Or is that just it?
Yeah, good question.
It's the same question.
Well,
I don't think we would wanna go back up in the hills, I've been surprised that it worked out as well as it did in your analysis. I mean, Lyme Hill's conserved. On the north. end
David, how
anyway.
far is it to here? I mean, to include this, like right in there, how far is that from Route
That's a good question, because I can't measure it on the map.
10?
That's just a picture. So let me just see if I can.
Well, I see where the little,
Yeah, so we're coming at about 3,000, or, excuse me, I'm looking, yeah, 3,000.
3,000 feet?
that's too far.
Yeah.
To do 1,900 and see where that is.
So we go out right about,
So you see the, this little dog-leggy thing here shows up in the other map that David had.
yeah,
Yeah.
So that's how I'm kind of looking at it and judging it.
We're-
So you see, here's that dog-leggy
Can
thing?
you flip back to the?
But do we wanna exclude all this?
Well, we would be
I
if
mean,
we
is that,
are.
but that's
Yeah, that's
impossible.
the
Yeah,
dog
it
leg
is,
is-
it is.
Oh, mm-hmm.
So that's why I was saying,
Yep.
what if we went to here, but that's 3,000 feet, and just come all
Yep.
the way down?
3,000 feet?
Well, but that would include, because that would be Lime Hill too, I think.
Yeah, Lyme Hills.
because I looked at basically the dog leg in East Thetford Road,
Mm-hmm,
and went south of that
Mm-hmm.
and measured.
Oh, okay.
And that was, about 3,000 feet, that line, if it,
Yep.
straight down to the Hanover border.
Right, so that would come, like, right here, like
Yeah.
this,
Yep,
approximately, so it would include this.
you're right, that's the 3,000 feet.
I mean, would that be bad?
it seems like way too much.
Yeah.
Because you know what, this is where we
Yeah, but-
think it's gonna be, but they're gonna take some marginal places also.
Yeah, and then this is, ideal conditions, and
Right.
this is basically looking at slopes that are not, you could have a slope that angles, or is facing north that has a very minor slope, that you can put panels on, raise them up and get get the sun. This is only looking at south-facing slopes, so,
Okay.
there's,
How deep is the commercial district in that area?
um,
Yeah, that's a good question.
just gonna find,
Zoning, third from the top?
yes, that's
Yeah.
it. I had renamed it.
Something like 1,000 feet?
Yep, 1,000 feet.
We live with 1,000 feet on that other side.
I'm gonna ask you to flip back, David.
And that would be, wouldn't be much, it would be a third of
Mhm,
this.
mhm.
Right
Mhm. Yep,
there.
I mean, I don't think it needs to be 3,000 feet.
No,
And
I don't either.
It's ridiculous.
And 1,000 feet is what we gave up for a commercial, so
Yeah, I
seems
think
pretty
for,
fair.
yeah,
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good stuff there,
Well, if you,
2,000 feet out.
but if you're looking, you know, south of Shoestrap, most of that's conserved. That backside of the commercial district is all conserved.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is to make it more clear, simpler, it doesn't matter if it's conserved, it can still be in the district.
Right,
You know what I
in the
mean? You don't
district,
have to
but
say,
yeah.
well, we don't want it in there, just.
Well, what I'm saying is though, that, you know, as you, when you're talking about the width of the district, if you're, you know, 1,000 feet to 1,500 feet to 1,900 feet, you're not gonna gain that much more usable
I see what you're saying.
land because a majority of that is protected.
Right,
And so adding more really isn't going
Doesn't
to
do
give
any-
you any benefit.
yeah.
well, but adding more to the east, does that give you more?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's say 1,000 west,
Yeah.
19 east.
Okay.
All right,
Good.
just took 55 minutes to do that, all right. So,
That's good.
we have yeah, right, we have a definition of our zone, district, whatever you wanna call
How many feet east?
it.
1,900.
1900 east, 1,000 west, from the,
Which is the commercial district.
what?
That's what the commercial district is.
What I will do is, I will map that out before the next meeting.
Okay, so another thing is,
John,
yeah,
I think it's gonna be hard to explain why it's 1,000 feet west and 1,900 feet east.
it is hard to explain.
I think you can make it 1,900 feet both, or 1,000 feet both, or 1,500 feet both, but I think making it the same is desirable.
How about 15 both?
Well,
1,500.
then you cut
No,
off
I think
a lot of the property on.
19.
Okay, 19 both. Okay,
That's
that-
like, you know, like.
That lasted
That would-
for,
That would be two.
2/3 of the way over.
Yeah.
Well, which side of the road are you, I mean, when you're looking to the west, you're kind of looking level or maybe down. You're looking to the east, you're looking uphill. Which way are we gonna be more likely to see these panels?
I
And that
think,
takes us to the key point in all of this. If these things are visually unobtrusive, people aren't gonna be bothered by it. In fact, we can make the entire town available for large solar arrays that are not on conservation district land and are visually unobtrusive.
so have we addressed the visually unobtrusive?
No.
No.
Well, in the conditional use, there's a point that says they need to be unobtrusive.
Unobtrusive. That, I don't know that that's
So,
gonna carry
solar
much water.
energy, C, solar energy systems shall be sited in a manner that will screen the view of the solar system from surrounding properties and the public rights of way.
Right, but that's gonna be so subjective and such a can of worms. I mean, who's gonna decide what's visually unobtrusive?
We are.
I know.
Yeah.
The planning board will decide.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And-
I guess so.
And Tim and I have been talking about this, and Tim says, well, how do you define it? And the answer is the answer that one of the Supreme Court justices gave in a pornography case.
Right.
Justice Potter.
I can't define it, Justice Potter, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. And this board, in the site plan review, will know whether it's unobtrusive or not. And
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
screening makes it unobtrusive, but also topography can also make it unobtrusive. So,
Well, I think the property owner might make it depending on who the favored or unfavored property owner is, could influence the decision on whether it's unobtrusive as well. So
yeah,
if there was sympathy towards a particular,
a Scott Bailey or
not naming names.
well, I am.
Well, I gotta say, I think that the screening that got put up at Lyme, the Lyme Home Heating or whatever that is like non-existent, and
Is that screened?
it's supposed to
That's what
be.
the-
We asked to have
Supposed to
screening
be.
evergreen trees put there.
Yeah, that's
And he did,
ridiculous.
but did he put some?
I think they're dead.
No, they're still alive.
Salt.
I grow them, I buy them twice a day.
Yeah.
But they're, you know, not.
Which place is it?
Dan,
The
Morgan
building
Bailey.
was-
Morgan Bailey.
Oh,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the salt probably doesn't help them either, so.
Well, I think that the board needs to be very clear in what, when they say putting in trees, you know, that you need to provide a landscape plan that says this is what's going in.
Right,
And, you know, you need to stick to that.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel like a broken record here, but I don't think you can, if the trees aren't growing there, having a screening plan is senseless.
Right.
Because by the time the trees are finally screening the area, the project's obsolete.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, I mean, to really screen that, they'd have to be 15, 18
Right.
feet tall.
so how's that gonna work?
So requiring screening is not the answer, requiring that it be visually unobtrusive
Right,
is the answer.
so you can't build it unless it's visually unobtrusive. Right,
It puts the onus on the applicant.
right,
Absolutely.
right.
And I looked up unobtrusive, and I don't know, I don't recall the source, but what I looked up, it said not easily noticed, does not draw attention to itself. I think maybe we wanna actually define unobtrusive and use that term.
Okay,
You know,
Well, we use the dictionary, you know, you go to Webster's, or, you know, if you don't know what the meaning is, use a plain language. We don't have to get into a specific, the idea is that it be unobtrusive, and, you know, if it, the solar panel's not gonna jump up and down and wave, okay, so we know they're not gonna have probably neon lights, that kind of thing, but
Yeah.
I would like to leave it a little bit ambiguous so that we don't paint ourselves into a corner trying to define what that means, because we wanna see that it's functionally unobtrusive, not to have to meet the standard. So that, I believe in the know when you see it kind of thing.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think we also have to be, when we get these things, just assuming we will, that when there's a consultant saying, people drive by here at 60 miles an hour, so you won't possibly, but I would really recommend that we consider moving at a slower speed, like bicyclists or walkers, and would they see it, not just at 60 miles an hour, if it's, you know, if we're looking
You
at the
can
test
also-
speed of 10.
You know, all the GIS packages have a line of sight analysis where you can put in the
Well,
topology and.
And, you know, I think there's another aspect to unobtrusive, which is not calling attention to itself. It's not, if you stand on your tippy toes in exactly the right
Right.
place, can you ever see this? As you go by, is it, I guess that's a solar panel over there, and that's a very different feel, and that's a very different standard from, no one can ever be able to see it from any public way.
I'll use the example of the ones up in the center of Fairleigh, just south of the dump. They're in plain sight, but they're tucked back up against the trees, and as you drive by, it doesn't draw your attention to it, you know. And I drive by there twice a day, and very rarely do I look over in that direction and say, oh my God, there's solar over there. It just, it's there, you can, and if you look at it, you can see it, but it is not jumping out.
And I'm certainly not arguing that we shouldn't ask for some kind of screening, but that if, I like the term unobtrusive as a standard because it is a little squishy. We don't have to get real focused about a definition of it.
I think that a good design, you know, is gonna be important, so they don't have a driveway that goes directly in where you get to see it, but the driveway curves so that, you know, you don't see it, and same with the power cut that goes into the site. That's not just a straight thing, they might have to stagger, and I know that that's costing money, but just so we don't have the view down the power line from the road.
So it gives the board that word and that, the wording that you read, people feel comfortable that it gives the board enough power to do what it
Yeah.
should.
Yep.
Okay,
And do we wanna have a distance from, you know, that it's within Route 10? I mean, you know, minimum distance, and I would say it can't be closer to Route 10 than a certain amount. In other words,
oh,
So
It talks about setbacks, we already have setbacks.
well, right, but do we wanna, I think that's only 50 feet, isn't it?
well, how does everybody feel
I
about
mean,
that?
I don't know, if we want solar panels within 60 feet of Route 10.
Well, depends
If they were
they're
unobtrusive.
Well, yeah, but there's no, I don't know how you can have them on it. Yeah.
Well, you
okay.
can't then, so I mean,
Yeah, I
there's
guess
no
so,
need to.
I guess.
Well, but there's an example of solar arrays that are within the setbacks you're talking about that are unobtrusive. The ones at the Lyme account, what's it called?
Crossroads.
Crossroads Academy.
Right.
You can't see, you don't, they're unobtrusive.
Well, they're behind trees.
Yeah.
in
Well,
that
but the
field.
point is that they're unobtrusive.
Well,
In which
like
yours
behind-
are unobtrusive.
Behind a barn, you know, it could be within the setback, but behind a building or something.
Yeah,
All right,
okay,
so
okay.
we don't need to do anything
I don't wanna
with
do that.
with unobtrusive, we already have
Yeah.
that. We've
So
got-
where do we have that exactly? Is that in the 14?
That was point C, I think, yeah, in 14.60 C.
Yeah,
Oh, did those have letters on them?
Yes, remember you didn't print them out?
Yeah, I got a second copy if you want it.
Some,
Oh,
your,
okay.
I mean, they always did, but yours didn't print out the.
I just
yeah.
printed this out.
So
2 days
what
ago.
number
It's
is it?
the same
Bruce?
one.
Oh,
C,
so-
right
In fact, it's 14.60, I don't know what page that would be on.
yeah.
Requirements for
I'll take
conditional
advantage
use.
of your offer,
Yes.
Rich, thanks.
Are these online? Rich?
here. Yeah,
And- No, this is not online.
So I'd like to have a
Perhaps
copy
David
as
could-
well.
Where did it say unobtrusive? I don't see
Let me
it.
go make a copy.
Great, thank you very
Where are you
much.
looking at?
this is the only place it doesn't say that it's unobtrusive.
This is
Were
B?
you,
Wait,
14.6,
C.
what
We're
letter?
under
14.60, yeah, and then C.
C
Oh,
is
C.
on screening, it doesn't say unobtrusive.
Oh,
I have no
the
idea.
solar energy system shall be sited in a manner that will screen the view of the system
Oh, okay.
from
yeah.
surrounding properties. It doesn't say unobtrusive,
Right.
I think it should.
Yeah.
Solar energy shall be unobtrusive and sited.
No,
How's that?
shall be cited in an unobtrusive manner.
Okay.
And we'll screen
You want to say they're visually unobtrusive, and you don't have to talk about screening, that's just
No,
one
they-
way
Yeah,
of.
okay.
Should be cited in a visually unobtrusive manner.
From,
No, considering the view of the system
how
from.
about from surrounding properties and public rights of way, or is that?
Yeah,
Okay, so solar energy systems shall be sited in a visually unobtrusive manner.
mhm.
From surrounding properties
No,
and.
when viewed from surrounding properties,
Okay.
or as viewed from.
From nearby properties.
Okay,
It's viewed from nearby.
In public ways.
nearby
Mhm.
public properties,
From nearby properties and.
Nearby properties. and
nearby
public-
properties
Public rights of right of way.
and public rights of way.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate it.
Manner.
Yeah, so how does this go into, solar energy systems shall be sited in a visually unobtrusive, what?
In a visually, in
Oh, an unobtrusive manner when viewed from nearby properties and public rights of way. So are we taking out the screen the view?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody's happy with that?
Mhm.
You have that, Vicky, for?
I do, but that's the only thing I've written down so far
Oh, I just,
for today.
I just wasn't here to get the full.
Yep.
Okay, so,
John, I just had a question while we're looking at this. On the second page, third paragraph, it says, for the calculation size of a solar energy system, the measured yield footprint does not include access roads, fences. Is that all sizes, or is it just large?
where is it listed? Is it under large?
No, it's for all of them.
It's for all of them, okay?
Yep.
Because, yeah, okay.
It's
Which,
a different thing.
which
than-
clause is that?
Third paragraph on the second page.
Well, what
It's
number?
it's under definition,
Oh,
so, no, it's only the second page.
Yeah, second page, third paragraph, yeah. For the calculation of size of a solar energy system. I was just thinking that none of them except for large would they have access roads, fences, of course?
You know what, they might.
They might.
They might.
I just
A
wanna be
medium
sure.
definitely would. Good.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
all right,
it
well
could
then,
Yeah.
all right, I guess that was
But
my
it-
question. I
it
just wanted to-
pertains to all of them.
Okay, all right.
okay, so another question. With the lawyer said that, I think the first suggestion is legal, and that was the tree thing, which was also voted for.
Mhm.
So how do people feel about that?
So the lawyer's saying we can restrict?
Yes, the example, the wording that we gave her was any site which has an area of over an acre that has been clear cut within 5 years of the proposed large solar development shall not qualify for a large solar array in that area. And that was to address
Right.
the question that was, pretty popular.
I don't understand why we're saying 5 years. Why can't we just say you can't clear cut to put in
Because
Solar
you're not
array.
allowed, I don't think you're allowed to
do that?
do that. Let's see. If you said,
Oh, that's right, I remember now, we were saying because you can clear cut anyway.
you can clear cut
You can
anywhere.
clear cut anyway, okay, so.
So it makes sense that you need to have a time frame,
Right. To use it for that purpose.
and at that, after it exceeds that time frame,
Then
then
you're
you have
okay.
a get out of jail card.
Right,
So we couldn't say that if you clear cut, you can't use it for solar arrays. You can do it, you can clear cut for any other reason, but you just can't clear cut for solar array.
Well,
Well-
you can come in and get, I mean, we could approve a project that required clear cutting 4 acres or something, right?
Right. But then we could just say.
But you can't do
use
it in advance and then say, oh, well, the site's already cleared. Rusty Estes project on Shoestrap. Well, the site's already cleared, we might as well,
Yeah, I see what
put-
you're saying.
put a solar
That's why
panel
we
in
need
there.
timeframe, yeah.
I don't know.
It's the same reason that you have a time frame on conversions.
Right.
To
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
you don't wanna build a shell and say, well, it's up, so now we're gonna convert it to an apartment building.
Yeah, no, I understand, yeah. makes
So
sense.
this would only apply for large and medium,
Yeah,
so we would put that in the 14.60 for that, whatever that paragraph is that John had. Right,
you mean this wording?
just what that word,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
So why don't we make that G, and then the current G would be an H, and then we'll put John's paragraph here. G.
So, Vicki, could you say that again?
So, in the 14.60,
Uh-huh.
make that subsection G, and then the
Is that the, no,
nuclear, yeah, John's paragraph. And then we just bump the final one about the conditions to age.
Right. I have some comments on the measurement of the definitions of footprint on the first page. Is that a good, this is a good thing to talk about?
Sure.
Okay.
So
One.
first page, okay.
Yeah, one fussy thing, in the very beginning, the definition of solar energy system, I'd like a space after the M in system and before the open paren of SES. That's, But then as I looked at I like the ABC for the roof mounted tracking fixed solar energy system, and then the footprints, the footprint limits. There's all those words that are the same or almost the same in each of the three, small, medium, and large, and I worried about coalescing them all into a single paragraph. Actually, well, there'd be 3 paragraphs is what I'm suggesting. But just to change it so that solar energy systems may be further defined as by size as follows. The first sentence of the small is as it was. It's up to a cumulative footprint of 2,000 square feet, and then medium is between 2,000 and 43,560. Then large is larger than an acre up to a maximum of 7, and then I suggest that the next paragraph says the cumulative footprint. This is where it incorporates all the components in the area between. The cumulative footprint of a medium or large solar energy system is measured by totaling the area occupied by all of the components, including mounting equipment, panels, ancillary parts of the system, as well as the land area in between components of the system. So that we're defining footprint in that sentence. Then the cumulative footprint of a small solar energy system is as above, except the land area between the components is not included. And then the third paragraph would be the cumulative footprint of a pedestal for a tracking system or racks for a fixed system shall be excluded from the footprint calculations. So, what happens?
What's being excluded?
I'm sorry, what's that, Jim?
What's being excluded?
If you look at the end
That's
of
the
the last sentence in.
The footprint for the pedestal is being excluded. That was,
Or racks for a fixed system.
Okay, is that something, that's what we wanted?
I guess so. I don't know if that makes it any simpler or not.
Well,
Maybe.
there's so much repeated language about this footprint area is measured by totaling the land area occupied by all the components, and on and on and on. And by distilling that into a single paragraph that says, medium and large is this, small is this, except we don't even count the land between the racks.
But why wouldn't you?
Yeah, why wouldn't you count that one?
Because we made that decision, a small.
You with small. Yes,
Small.
Yes, oh, yes,
Does
yes.
not-
Let's say
yes.
you have 2
You did,
trackers.
yeah.
And they're set 50
Yeah.
feet apart.
Oh,
You wouldn't wanna count
except for trackers.
or well, even if you have,
Or 2 small racks.
or 2 small racks that are
Regular arrays, yeah.
that are distanced apart.
Why wouldn't they be close together?
So David, my impression of the discussion was that what we wanted was to have, to be fairly lenient on a relatively small array. I mean, this is 2,000 square feet. It's smaller than a barn that's 40 by 60 feet, which is not an enormous barn. And we want to encourage that unquestionably. So that's why the distinction between them, small and medium.
Okay, but by separating them out, by taking the 2,000 square feet and having multiple small arrays over a large area, becomes visually obtrusive, which we don't want. No, I think our assumption, my assumption was that a small array would be small, would be compact, would not be spread around.
I can give you an example that I'm working with the folks now. They have, they wanna put in, I think it's about 1,500 square feet of arrays.
Right,
They want to extend it onto a steep slope.
yeah,
Pre-zoning house, they can get 1,000 square feet of intrusion from the zoning board, but they can't get that extra 300 feet. But they have a garage roof that is not in the steep slopes. And so they could
Well-
put the 300 feet on the garage, and it would still all be visually unobtrusive because it's all behind the house.
right.
So you would see the house before you'd see any of the,
But the 300 feet on the garage is a given, isn't it? Isn't that? I mean, that's
yes, but if
something
you were
so
counting
that-
the area between both sets of panels, you would be increasing the size, the intrusion into the steep slopes.
I'm really buffaloed. You're putting solar arrays on a steep slope?
That's, they're going to the zoning board to ask, and they'll be at the planning board to ask.
I hope the answer is no.
But again, it's,
You can't build on steep slopes. End of discussion. What am I missing here?
well, you
Well,
can get a special exception from the zoning board for,
We're looking at them like pretty regularly.
But I don't think
Between-
that's not what the zoning ordinance says.
Well, we're getting this septic and possibly a driveway, and we just had some
Two
solar
arrays.
arrays, and now there's another solar array.
Yeah.
I guess I should reread the zoning ordinance.
It's under 824,
No, I don't mean to take up your time.
David does the ordinance.
So, my,
So what do people think of
My,
Rich's,
my thought was make the definitions of small, medium, and large simple one sentence definitions to say it's 2,000 or it's 2,000 to 43,560 or it's an acre.
So what I recall is, Vicky, that you wanted to have each size explicitly state the size.
I thought for people, it'd be easier if they had it all in one place.
Yeah.
That's,
I think there's a value to that.
I agree, it's repetitive, it takes up extra distance, but it also is all in one place, so, I guess it doesn't really matter as long as it's clear.
Well, I think,
But somebody else is gonna have to write that, cause I can't follow Rich, and so that's up to David and Rich if we want to.
I think, I like the way you did it because I think it's clear. When you go to this section, you're gonna have to look somewhere else. So you go to small, all the information you need about small is there in terms of size.
Right, I measure it, yep.
So I like it, but there's,
I'm happy with it, leaving it.
I'm
like
either way, I think.
Yeah, Rich, I understand what you're saying, it's good, but I think it is nice to have it all in one, each one together, and not have to look back and forth.
So what, I mean, you can't see this, but, so this is small, medium, large, and then the very next paragraph says, medium and large includes the space between, and then, so,
Yeah.
I would, just from my point of view as the administrator of it, I would prefer it separated into the three,
Mhm.
because that way, people don't tend to read other, beyond what they think they need.
Right.
And so,
okay.
it's all clear in one section, and I'm constantly having to say, yes, but if you go here, it says something different.
All right, so let's leave that. What else do we have to do?
I had other comments. In 14.60 in D,
The medium solar energy?
no, this is, right after the cited unobtrusively, the next point, D, is solar energy systems must conform with lot coverage requirements. How does that square with the requirement that there be no more than 26,000 square feet on any parcel?
Good question.
And I would, seeing as how we are specifically giving permission for footprint limits, I think
Yeah, maybe we just have
maybe
to add
we
something.
just strike D.
Strike D?
Strike that entire,
Well, except we say that it's, all systems larger than 7 acres are not allowed.
okay.
You could just say that.
So refresh my memory, do we have to comply with lot coverage on medium or large systems?
I think we are explicitly giving them a pass. There's no language here that says you have to have, you have to have more than a 5 acre lot to put in a 5 acre array. No kidding, but,
Yeah.
there's no
You could have a
lot
6 acre lot
percentage.
to put a
Oh,
five
here we
acre.
If you had a 6 acre lot and you had the setbacks and you had everything else, we are explicitly permitting it, and I think that, I don't think we would mean to be saying, oh, well,
So is there any reason to have that in there? I mean, I
They
think,
keep
I think
points.
we should say, we should keep the
the 7 acres.
Yeah.
7 acre
Okay.
limit, but is there any reason why we wanna have that in there?
I don't see why.
Yeah, I'm just asking everybody.
I guess not. The other way to go would be to say medium to large solar energy systems do not need to conform to the,
Nah,
but that gets more
That gets more
Do
complicated.
small systems have to conform with lot coverage?
I think
Yeah.
basically, yes, according to
Yes.
the initial rule that David had, which
Yeah,
was,
they do now. I
if
mean, I-
they're a structure,
there's three, yeah, they're treated as.
they're treated as a structure.
So do we have to
Okay.
say that?
I think we do say there. A solar energy system is a structure composed of,
But do we don't say that it has to conform?
well, all structures have to conform. And,
Are we okay with that if we don't say it?
I think you are, but
It's better if we say it.
it's always better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with small, if we're saying it's a structure,
So in 14.2, we wanna add a D.
okay, and what's D?
Would be that they must conform with lot coverage. Is that,
I say
Is it-
footprint
Oh, I
and
see.
lot coverage.
okay,
Are you writing this down, Vicky?
yes.
Okay. And with the old, I guess it is the 7 acre business, look, let's wait till Vicky's done.
It must conform with.
They must conform with footprint and lot coverage standards for the district in which it's located.
yep.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Okay, and for the old D, or,
Oh, so the 14.60 D, solar energy systems larger than 7 acres are not allowed.
right,
Yeah.
Okay, we'll straighten it.
perfect. Well, we just had to get warmed up to move along.
Okay, so we dealt with, okay, the decibel thing. I looked a little bit into that and, couldn't find anything specific except that the two kinds of noise, inverters and transformer noise, and, so yes, there is noise associated with the solar panel. And pretty much the conclusion is to put those pieces of equipment toward the center of the property so you don't get them close to the edge. But we don't have sound,
We did with, I think, with the Lyme in,
well, no, we have a fan that's right on the property line.
but
You can't possibly.
but there was,
Yeah, remember we
But we
measured,
thought it was
we
good.
measured the
yeah,
decibel.
we
Yeah,
like,
right.
no, but we did create a limit.
Well, okay, so, I mean, then, yeah, I know, Cynthia, bless her soul. Okay, well, do we want to take the daytime sound limit or nighttime sound limit from another community? For that, to fill in that decibel reading for the noise at the property line?
I don't
Sure.
think we should have a noise limit, because I think in some places,
Wouldn't matter.
people should not be subjected to a constant hum, or, I
Right.
mean, I would hate to see us say, oh, well, we approved it because the decibel level is below X.
Right, so it would come under conditional use maybe,
Well, this is where we have it already.
right, but I mean, we'd have to decide when we go over it.
So, yeah, I mean, what authorizes us if we don't have
We can
it?
ask them to provide estimates of the equipment noise, but,
You got that.
And the equipment noise should be unobtrusive.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
No, well, I think it's at the property line is the key thing. Although I will say, I have a friend who lives on Great Hollow Road, and Hypertherm has everything roof mounted. She lives up on the ridge across the street. So the roof mounting is worse than it would be if it was ground mounted, because,
Right.
you know, it
goes
the
right
way
to
that it
right
goes
there.
right into, yeah, to her house.
Yeah,
So,
I'd like, boy, it would be nice to avoid those sort of
yeah, I mean,
controversies.
so they talk about, actually, that just reading this stuff, the transformer has a fan, and most people find that the inverter hum is worse than the transformer fan in terms of
Yeah, the
annoying.
inverters can be noisy.
Yes, so that's all I could find, but I couldn't find estimates of, like, anything that, they put decibel limits on these things. I just, was reading about the fact that it does make noise.
Yeah,
yeah.
so, what do you wanna do?
I don't want anybody to be burdened by this, but,
I think we should just do it through conditional use and have it.
well, we
somehow
have it at
condition-
conditional
Well,
use,
that's what I
but we
mean,
gotta
it's-
set a standard, and I don't know how to
Well-
exactly say that. I mean, we can get the noise readings based on the equipment specifications, that's fine, but.
Audibly unobtrusive.
Unobtrusive?
Yeah,
Audibly
well,
unobtrusive. Yeah, because,
It really, I mean,
Depends
it's
where
a
it
sad
is.
thing, because, it may be unobtrusive to all but one person, and
Right.
that one person could be 4,000 feet away,
right,
but on the nearest ridge top.
Right.
or. it could-
Yeah, and we also had that same thing in Hanover where people up on Sergeant Street, West Wheelock goes down the valley, and the college had stuff on the roofs of some of the dorms, it was before the new buildings were built, and they were aggrieved by some of those noises that came over. So honestly, what the safest thing to do is to get a sound study done before and then one after. And, we've done property lines, but I guess if there's people who feel like they might be aggrieved by it, we do before and after. I mean, they might have, you know, a HVAC unit that makes just as much noise, and, you know, and the sound from the solar installation doesn't really increase things, so, but that's the fair way to kind of do it, is to have a baseline and then see what happens once the thing's installed.
But it's too late after it's been installed.
No, then they have to do mitigation. I mean, then they gotta either create a box,
Okay.
and it's contained, or they put up a
Right.
barrier and then it's contained, or, you know, if it's the height kind of thing, I'm not sure what, I assume the box is the solution.
So it can be mitigated.
Yeah, I mean, and actually the box usually isn't a full box, it just has baffling, and it needs to actually have airflow.
Right.
So, but it is something that
So,
contains the sound.
so can you put that in there?
Well, I think I mean, I don't know if you guys wanna get, I mean, cause to have baseline documentation, I mean, it's expensive.
Yeah,
It's an
yeah.
expensive
So
sound
do we
study to
wanna-
have done.
Do we wanna do it?
And,
Yeah, cause I mean, all the abutters are gonna be notified, right, so, assuming any abutters nearby, they're gonna be the ones that are gonna say that they're worried about
Well,
this.
they won't know.
Well, they won't know.
They're fat, dumb, and happy, they don't really
Right.
know,
Well, but
because
if they
this is
go
the
to the
first
meeting-
time they've experienced a 5-acre solar facility.
Right.
You
we
may
could say at the
think that
meeting-
it has, you know, it's solar, it has no noise, there's no
Yeah.
moving parts.
no,
Right, but couldn't we say at the meeting, the planning board could say, well, there's a possibility that there might be noise here, so.
Well, future planning boards may not think to do that.
Yeah, okay, well. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like we wanna sort of highlight it or outline the fact that studies could be required for systems greater than, for medium and large systems.
well, this is
or
only for
something.
conditional use is what we're talking about, so I mean,
Oh.
so, yeah, so this is under
We're in the
the
conditional use?
1460 is conditional use.
Okay.
So it's only for large and medium and large.
Yeah.
So,
D up on the,
so if we were talking about, if after installation, the board determines that there, you know, is undue noise coming from the installation, the board may require, sound mitigation be implemented. Is that
Yeah,
kind of what we're saying?
yes.
I guess so.
Is that, okay?
Is that something we can say?
Sure we can, we can say whatever we want, I just don't know if you guys wanna say it. Okay, I'll write
Yeah,
it.
well,
I mean, and then unfortunately, you don't have the virgin
No,
pre-development
no, you don't,
study
you
at
don't.
that point,
you don't, but,
yeah.
Well, that's
um,
what Vicky says, that's expensive. and it
well,
may
the
be
thing
right.
is that if,
Unnecessary.
I mean, you could get into like this kind of little, thing between the applicant and the operator, and so then you'd have to have a study where they shut down everything, no noise, and then it goes on, and then they
Yeah.
do another study, to, you know, hear it, and, you know, and then we would have, you know, sound reading being taken at
Right.
the neighbor's house.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that's,
did one of these, I had. to
I
take
don't
one of
know,
these.
and I've done them at like 3 AM in the morning, and it's like, it's very expensive, and you need to get a good sound engineer, and it's not
Yeah.
just somebody going out with a decibel meter, cause that's not fair to either party.
No,
And you need somebody who's not interested, not the consulting engineer, you need to have a third party. So why don't I write that in, and maybe it doesn't make sense and we take it out, but,
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
I wanted to go back to 1460 is pretty popular. Look at point F about the buried power and communication lines.
Yeah.
Why is that a requirement? it'll be screened from view. It seems it only would add expense to the applicant for no particular value.
Well, I think in the case of coming up from Route 10, you know, one, you don't want a direct shot,
Sure, right?
so,
But those are not on-site. That's not necessarily an on-site power line. And we surely are not gonna ask people to bury a power line from Route 10. I mean, maybe that is what we're saying, but
well, I would think we
not.
might,
Yeah, I think we might.
Really?
sure.
So if they're 1,500 feet from Route 10, an array, then they have to bury it 1,500
I
feet.
don't know, maybe,
How much, you were looking at burying it along the common? What was the estimate from the power company for that?
Yeah, that's a
It's
little.
three-phase, so,
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was really complicated, because you have to do all the telephone and all this stuff, and then they have to bore into the, I mean, that was.
So, all right.
but
so-
still,
They compare it.
a round estimate of, you know, for.
Well, it was like 3 to 4 million probably, for them to do the whole
I
company,
mean,
but
that,
So
that's
that-
different.
That's nothing.
that's not.
That's a
like-
totally different thing, because.
So in any case, do we,
Wait, I know something
Do we
about
want
this. I'm gonna say no, we should not. I'm trying to remember, I actually did get a fairly accurate number of varying.
But then they'd have to put in poles.
Yeah.
and you've got a bigger clearance, a bigger cleared area for
Right.
the pole.
Right.
so why did we put this in
Poles
here?
are bad.
We put this in here because of,
Cause that's
So-
what other towns have.
I think
in it.
it's, yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's pretty standard.
it's pretty standard. And,
Yeah,
I would
think we
take
wanna-
out the word on-site though,
okay,
or the two words on-site,
Are we
Really?
leaving it in there?
just because
yeah, it might be on
if
the
your
way
site
of the
is
site.
further on another piece of property beyond, and they have a power line easement across another property to get down to Route 10, you're going to say, they're going to say, well, we buried everything on site, but as soon as we get off site, we're going to
Right,
the lines and open it all the way up down to, straight down to Route 10.
Yeah,
no?
So, what,
So it, what I think David is saying
You're
is,
saying take
is
out
that if you,
on-site.
if you on-site is a limiting phrase. So you're only asking for it to be buried on-site.
oh, okay,
If you take that out, then,
just all power and communication.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I really don't think we wanna add more telephone.
No, we
poles.
Yeah, no, that's, it just seems to me that if you have to say on-site, then it's very easy to say, well, this is off-site now and we're gonna go,
Above ground.
yep.
Good catch, Dave.
yeah,
So I'm gonna say very strongly that that is almost certainly going to discourage anyone from building medium or small.
medium or large.
Medium, or I'm sorry, thank you, John, medium or large arrays that, it's very expensive to bury.
So is this,
Well,
is
line.
this,
They're spending $1 million.
well, hold on, is this this is standard language from other towns?
That's what, I assume where it came
I
from.
thought it was, but I don't.
Yeah, I don't know where it is.
So they're gonna bury, they're gonna get an easement to bury from Route 10 out to wherever they're,
It's 1,000 feet. I mean,
Yeah,
at worst,
right.
yeah.
right,
Yeah, I mean, if they're spending $1 million or more, that, it's minor, I mean, and if they hit ledge, then they don't have, what's it saying here, if there's a good reason they can't bury it, then they don't have to.
I guess, the others,
it's everywhere in this town.
Yeah, well,
well,
then they wouldn't.
then they get a pass.
Then they get a pass, yeah.
But if we don't have that, then we have no means of addressing some, what might be pretty unsightly.
So,
Yeah.
And the other question I would have is, do you want to say anything about running the power communications along access ways where it's practicable? Because to try to, I understand if you're bringing in a road off of Whipple Hill, not Whipple, Washburn, thank you. Washburn Hill down, and then you're going from the site down to Route 10 where the power lines are, you can't combine them, but if you're going from Route 10 up, do you wanna combine those two areas so that you only have one opening?
Well, what do you
Wait,
think?
say that again.
If you're going to run power and a driveway, an access way, do you want to force them to combine those two
Oh,
into one opening, one right-of-way, I
so
guess?
the power would go where the driveway goes.
Right, so that you're not doing multiple openings.
I would think it would be nice, yeah, not to.
You know, I know it's impractical if you're splitting them, you know, going from Route 10 down to, or up to a site, and then your access is from above,
Right,
then no, it's not practical.
right. Well, I think they probably would anyway, but.
No,
yeah,
I can
I mean, it would be easier to.
look at the site just south of the theater, not the movie, the drive-in in Fairleigh. And
Yeah,
when it runs through the field just to the south, yes, they have the same right-of-way. But as soon as you hit the hill, power lines go straight up through a cut in the hill, and the road curves to the north and zigzags.
So here's a suggestion. We are getting close to the time where Rich Brown's gonna request that we leave. So why don't we take that under advisement for next time? I think we managed to cover a lot, and after, you know, close to 2 hours, we start to lose our finely honed edge.
so,
and we have a few other things to think about, like these other.
Right.
Okay.
so John,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask before we do that.
Yeah.
Are we truly saying that all the power and communication lines that are serving this must be buried?
So that sounded like what we were saying, but we can take the next week.
Well, should we say all new power and communication lines? Cause, I mean, we don't want them to have to bury the existing ones, right? All new.
I don't find, that feels like a distinction without a difference, that people putting a large solar array in are gonna be putting in new.
So let's
Conductors.
put that in the pile of under
Okay.
advisement
All right.
for next time.
Well, do you want me to put in new, just to?
Yeah, go ahead for now.
No.
Let's leave it as is.
Leave it as is,
So,
okay.
yes, please.
All right.
Okay.
So, fantastic.
All right, so we didn't address, should there be required spacing between project
Right,
areas?
right.
Should there be required minimum spacing between roads within a project?
Right.
Is that a question for anybody, or, I mean, I think we shouldn't even be addressing those things, does anybody else?
Well, some,
Some
I
do,
think
okay,
I think it's
some do,
worth
okay.
discussing rather, you know, and then we can reject it.
Right.
So the first one was, are we talking about, you have property A and property B?
You have 2 5-acre arrays and they're within 100
Who
yards
cares?
of each other.
Yeah.
It's
So
not like
we're
we're
gonna-
creating a solar ghetto, I don't really feel.
Yeah, but that was.
Yeah, that is
that
what it's
was the
asking,
concern.
that's what it's asking.
But they're visually unobtrusive.
If
Yeah.
it's visually
Right, I mean,
unobtrusive.
but I mean, maybe there's 2 nice lots that happen
mean-
to
Yeah,
align.
no, it's fine.
Yeah.
Does anybody wanna talk about that again?
I don't feel strongly that we.
You wanna talk about that again?
I guess not.
Okay, I'm gonna take that out.
Okay.
We're not gonna talk about it again, John.
Should we
It's
require
fine with
spacing
me.
between project areas so they do not abut each other? I mean, what if the three-phase power is coming right there, wouldn't it make sense for?
I think all of these
Yeah.
things are gonna be 15-minute conversations,
Well,
once we get
Do we still
going.
need to talk about that, or is everybody like, that's really,
Well, visually unobtrusive, I think that makes progress.
right, okay, so can I take that
Yes.
one off the list?
Yes.
We wanna have a shorter meeting on the
Yes.
14th, okay, guys?
Well, we're gonna have,
Especially if we're gonna talk about the.
we're gonna talk about steep
Lawrence
slopes,
review.
Oh, we're doing that
Yeah.
too, okay, and are we still talking about requirement of primarily serving Lyme residents and businesses?
Yeah,
I think,
we're
I
gonna go
think,
back to
I think we should go back to that.
Go back to that,
How do we
okay.
get a legal opinion or a different,
Well, I think as David said, we can reword it and ask her again, maybe.
All right,
I think-
I'll try and reword it.
Yeah, I think her thought is how to, or how is it possible to send the power to individual
Well,
houses?
I think that's the
we don't
wrong,
care
don't think
about
you-
that.
She doesn't understand how it works.
it's,
That's what I
it's
think.
the-
Yeah,
it's
that's
the
the
wrong
thing.
question. The
Right,
question
but-
is, if it can be, whatever, credited.
I think the key thing is she said she's not a content
No, she's not.
expert, so I think, adding some more information to that to say
This is
the-
how it could be.
how it could be done.
Yeah,
Does that sound?
right.
Right.
So, we're looking to see the account holders for this particular project are majority Lyme residents, that's the
Yeah, I mean,
question.
it's,
How do we do
it's
that?
it's a sticky
We don't
question.
enforce anything, how is David going
Well,
to figure that out
I mean, it's the
year?
application, it starts out that way at least.
It seems to me that it would have to be, at the time of application, you have X number, or X percent, however you determine to do it, of Lyme residents buying into this. If over time that disappears, the board can't,
So be it.
An aggrieved resident could say, hey, I just found out that only 10% of the customers are from Lyme and they,
Well, we can,
because
we
they
could,
kicked us off
we could
because what they were
say,
selling
we
the
can
power
say
station.
at the time of origin.
Yeah,
Then why
But,
does it matter?
because we asked the question.
Yeah, I know, and
Yeah.
I just don't see how that, okay. And did we agree upon 1,500 feet on either side?
19.
19.
1900 on either side, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Well, the other thing is, if the whole town is on community power, if the whole town goes with that, then there may not be any incentive to be on
Well, if,
well, it sounds like it.
when is that meeting?
Next Tuesday.
12.
No, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock in the morning, and they're gonna
Oh,
also
you're
have,
kidding me.
yeah, and then they're gonna have an afternoon, or an evening meeting as well. They must have two public hearings.
Oh, okay,
So,
that's Tuesday?
I'm pretty sure it's the 12th. Let me,
Okay, and where is it?
I think
should be right here.
Yeah, 9 AM. Yeah, I think you're right, it's the 12th, I'm pretty sure it's the 12th.
Yes.
I had a question.
yeah,
How do we deal with the senior housing amendment, which is now in the zoning?
it's out.
But it's all in our, I mean, it's still printed in our
Well,
zoning.
it should
So
be
the
out.
next time we print the zoning, we just take it out?
Yeah, it's
Cause I mean, it's
defunct.
in here.
Yeah, because it only went
Right.
defunct this summer.
Right, so we don't have to do anything
No,
as far as,
it's defunct. Right, David?
Yep, it is defunct.
I mean, we don't have to,
No,
No, you can.
so the next time you print the zoning, it'll just be taken out?
No, it will still be there,
oh, why?
Why?
because the town has not voted to take that section out.
Oh,
But,
then
but
maybe
the
we should do
wording,
that.
the wording said,
Town council said, I have to leave it in
okay,
until, and the board can, make a zoning,
I don't think it's worth it.
Well, I think it might be, cause it's gonna be confusing to have that in there.
I am going to put in next time I go in and change things, I will put a note referencing the RSA that made it defunct
Right.
and
Print that in the zoning.
in.
So article blah, 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 senior housing, note,
Yeah,
RSA, something or another.
But couldn't we just have a warrant?
You
Or
could.
You
just say
could put a
take it?
warrant article
I
to
think
take
we
it
have
out.
too much on our plate.
Yeah, I think we got
That's why I
Maybe
haven't.
next year. Maybe-
Let's give poor John a
Maybe
break.
2025.
Next year.
I think at some point it'd be nice to get rid of it, I think.
So hold this, next week we're meeting,
Yeah,
and that's
Yeah.
it for the year?
yeah,
Jeez.
So we're gonna have six pack out in the parking lot?
absolutely, or in the room, in the room.
Grab a
So this is John's last meeting, everybody. We should like,
Is it my last one?
isn't it?
No.
That'll be March.
Oh,
No,
you're not quitting till town meeting?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
quitting, I'm just running out.
Okay. Okay, well, I was thinking we
Yeah,
needed to
he's
like
fine. Here for
get
everything
eggnog
else.
and Christmas cookies.
Sure, that'd be
Great.
great.
Well, no, but it was to celebrate you, not,
Oh.
not anything else.
Celebrate
Well,
his
thank
And
baby,
you're still
right?
here.
I'm still here,
Okay.
Now we just have to wait and have a St. Patty's Day
I guess, or,
party.
right,
yeah,
Okay.
early Easter.
So, we done?
we're done.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Um,